Okay, I have to start over with this question here, which is where they ask for which values of x. Well, if we multiply the x value with the derivative of the function, we're going to get values, or it's going to be greater than equal to 0. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that one, and then we can do it together. The session will end in the next probably 20 minutes or so, because we still have to do question number 6. Okay, so if you've just joined us, I just started the live again because connection is a little bit bad, so you just have to just double tap the screen and help me to get this video or this live in front of more eyes. If you're not grade 12, if you're in a different grade, please share it with someone that you know that's in grade 12, or that are writing the final paper, obviously for grade 12. This is grade 12 revision. The paper that we're busy with comes from so November 2018. Paper 1, it is DBE or NSC, National Senior Certificate of Basic Education, the District of Basic Education paper. You can get this question papers, all of it is on the Education Department's website with the memos. Okay, so let's look at this one where they ask us for which values of x. Well, if we multiply the x value with the derivative of the f function, and we're going to get greater than equal to 0. So there's two ways you can do that. So you need to ask yourself, so here we have the f, right? And you can obviously, you're going to get your answer in your case from the diagram or from the graph that you've sketched here. So it's important that you have this graph, the correct. Let me just do this. Let me do this. That your graph is correct. Otherwise, you're going to get this one wrong. So you need to ask yourself. So they ask us this. Let me write it here. Yes, let me write it. We do this. We do this. Yeah. Okay, because this is what they ask us. They ask us if you multiply your x value with the derivative of the f, we're supposed to get a positive answer, or the answer should be equal to 0. So basically what that means, the x value, both signs have to be the same of both, okay, in order for it to be greater than equal to 0. So it's supposed to be positive, positive, or negative and negative, because positive multiplied by positive is going to give you a positive, which is in this case yes, and a negative multiplied by negative is also going to give you a positive. So now I have to ask myself, where is my graph? Where's the x values positive? Okay, so the x value is positive, everything on that side. Okay, but remember there's an asymptote here, so you can't include this. So all the x values to this side, right, is positive, and my gradient is also going to be positive on that side. But remember, your gradient can also be 0 in order to be equal to 0, because they say here it must be greater than equal to 0. So it can be greater than 0, which is positive, and it can also be equal to 0. So if I multiply any x value that's positive and multiplied with any of where my gradient is not positive, so here, remember, if the gradient looks like this, then it's 0, okay? But if the gradient looks like this, if I draw, or the tangent is like this, then it's positive. So it's going to be all the x values to that side, okay? And all the x values to that side is negative, but here the gradient is also 0, so it's going to be this side, and it's going to be here, because here my x values is positive and the gradient is also positive. So you're going to say 5.4's answer, the final one, is going to be, it's going to be all the x's greater than 0 except for x mustn't be equal to 1. Okay. Or you can say all the x's between -1 and less than 1 but greater than equal to 0, or it's going to be all the x's greater than 1. So there's another way you can write this. This one is the next one might be confused. I'm not sure if you're used to it, but you should get used to it if you're going to continue your math journey. So it's all the x values, like I explained now from this graph, between where we're going to include 0, from 0 to 1, and then also from the graph we can also see from 1 till infinity. Okay, so that's the second last question. If you have any questions, I didn't check now. Okay, let me refresh my screen. So it's important that you know your graphs. Let me see. Okay, just double tap the screen, guys. If there's any Afrikaans students here, please. I'm not sure. Ek is seker dan hoe se Afrikaans gaan doen nie. Maar nooi asseblief, die konsepte is natuurlik dieselfde. Dis nie Afrikaanse konsepte nie. Dis dieselfde wiskunde konsepte. So come on, let's look at the next question. This is our final question. So let me just move up a little bit. Let me do this. If you have any questions in connection with question 5, please let me know now, because the last one, we're not going to go back to that one again. Question 6. 6.1. Okay. Now the graph one. So graphs are the most asked questions or most viral question that I've gotten from in my DMs or in my comments. Okay, so here they say in the diagram below, A and B are x-intercepts. Yes, we can actually see that. Of the graph, fx equal to x squared minus 2x minus 3. So they give the equation of the parabola. This is a parabola. A straight line, so there's a straight line G. It cuts the x-axis at this point A here, and also cuts F at that point C, and they give the coordinates of the point C. Okay. Then they say, and the y-axis at 0.1. So it cuts at this point and at that point. And they say M is a point on F. So there is M, and it's a point on F. Is the point on F? Yes. And N is a point on G. So there's N, and it's a point on G. G is the straight line. The next thing, I missed this text now. Such that Mn, so here's Mn, is parallel to the y-axis. Okay, so if you want to, you can just say, okay, this is parallel to that one. Okay, what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to highlight the green one, or the G, the straight line one. Okay. Okay, the next thing that they tell us, okay, they said it's parallel, and then Mn cuts the x-axis at t. So there's a point t, and it cuts the x-axis at that point there. Now the first question they ask us, show that g of x, which is a straight line, or the equation of the straight line, is equal to x plus 1. This one is worth 2 marks. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Yeah, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. I just want to plug in. So I think it's getting a little bit darker now, I'm not sure. Cloudy. I just want to plug in my light here. Let's see. The network is getting bad, so there might be a delay or something. see if it's still connected. Okay, that's much better. Guys, double tap the screen if you've just joined us. This is the last question. Also, share this live. This is the last question. We are busy with question 6, where we're supposed to show that the equation of the straight line is equal to negative x, x plus 1. Somebody say we can't see. Okay, yeah, hopefully it's better now. But I had to switch on the ring light or get some light. Okay, we need to show that the equation of the green line or the straight line is equal to x plus 1. La, la, la. There's 2 ways that you can do that. Actually, 3 ways that you can do that. You can calculate the gradient and then do a substitution, or you can just use some points here. If you have the answer, you can double tap the screen, or you can just give me a thumbs up. Amor, hopefully you can see better now. Hopefully it's clear enough. Okay, so let's get it. Okay, so there's 2 ways that you can do this. I'm just gonna, if you did it another way, you're more than welcome to ask me if it's correct. But what I see on this graph is they give us this point here, okay? So this point is given, C is on the straight line and on the parabola. So C is given, and this point here, the y-intercept of the straight line is also given, okay? 0 and 1. So you can use gradient and do a substitution and do that whole analytical geometry type of problem. But what, from your knowledge, you should know, from your, I think, grade 10, grade 9 knowledge, you should know that the equation of a straight line is y equal to mx plus c. Okay? What I'm also going to use is I'm going to use this point 4 and 5. I'm going to substitute it in there. I can do that because this point is on the graph, like we've discussed in the previous question. You can only use a point on a graph and substitute it into in the original equation, because, or in equation of that graph, because that point satisfies that line or that equation or that function. So I'm going to substitute this point, but what I also see is that the points, this point here is my y-intercept of the straight line, and this, I'm not sure if you agree with me, but this is also the y-intercept of the straight line. So they are telling me that the c value is equal to 1. So I'm going to substitute 1 in there. Okay, there's a plus symbol, yes, plus. Then I also have an x and a y value, and this point or this coordinate is on the graph. So I'm going to substitute this coordinate into this equation here. So my y value, from this I can see that my y is 5. There's an equal symbol, and I don't have m. I have my x value, which is 4, so I'm going to substitute 4 in here. And if I solve this, I'm going to get an m value of, which is going to be 1. Okay, so my m value is equal to 1. So that means the equation of this line is going to be y equal to, instead of m, I'm gonna have 1, so I don't have to write the 1. So it's 1 times x, so it's just x. And we already saw from in the beginning of this graph that my y value is 1. So it's going to be x plus 1, and this is my final answer. So I've showed that the straight line is equal to x plus 1, and this is my final answer. If you have any questions, or if you did another way, you can just ask me. We'll ask if it's correct. Okay, let's look at the next question. The next question asks us, calculate the coordinates of A and B. A and B, which is the A and B is also the x-intercepts of the parabola. Okay, so that's easy. It's 3 marks. So I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes to do that one. Make sure that you double tap the screen and also share this live. This is our last question. This is our last question, so let's get into it. They ask us to calculate the coordinates of A and B. So it's the coordinates A and B, which is also the x-intercept of the parabola. Okay, so that will be 6.2. Let me just say 6.2. In the beginning, they gave us the quadratic equation, or the equation of this function here, which is x squared minus 2x minus 3. We want the x-intercepts, so how do we get the x-intercepts? We make y equal to 0 and factorize. So that's what we're going to do. So it's x squared minus 2x minus 3 equal to 0. Okay, so it's going to be x plus it's going to be x plus 1 and x minus 3 equal to 0. So that means my 1x value is equal to negative 1. Or my one other x value is equal to 3. So that means we want the coordinates of A is going to be, it's on this side here, so it must be the negative 1. So it's negative, coordinates of A is negative 1 and 0, and my B coordinate is going to be 0, it's not 0, 3 and 0. Okay, hopefully you got that answer. If you got it, just double tap the screen, guys. Share this live. This is our last question. I'm going to run through this question, or this answer again. They ask us, calculate the coordinates of A and B. Okay, A and B is also the x-intercepts of the parabola. Okay, how do we get the x-intercepts? If we have the equation, in this case we have it, yes, and we substitute y equal to 0, in this case fx equal to 0, and then just factorize that quadratic equation and then solve for x, and that's exactly what we did here. So let's move on to the next one. They ask us, determine the range of f. So what is f? If it's the parabola, so that's going to be 6.3. Just going to move the book up a little bit. Let's see, do that. Okay, so they ask us to calculate the range of f. Okay, this is our last question. Make sure that you share this live, that you double tap the screen, that you share it. This is some of the questions I got in my comments or in my DMs, where students say, can we do more functions? Like I said, this is a 1 hour and 15 minutes. So we might not be able to finish this question, but at least we got through most of it. Let's see, 6.3. They want us to calculate, determine the range. Okay, so if you have the answer, just double tap the screen, or you can just give me a thumbs up if you have it, or a thumbs down, whatever the case may be. Okay. Okay, so here they ask us 6.3, determine the range of f. So here f is the parabola, and the range is all the y values for which this graph exists. So which means it's going to be all the y values to that side. So from this point upwards. But we don't have any points here. So in other words, we will have to calculate this point so that we can get all the y values, the range of this graph. So this point is what? This is the turning point. So we have to calculate the turning point of the parabola. Now there's a few ways that you can do this. I'm just going to use the one that I've been showing you guys the whole time on my it's in the grade 10 playlist. You can check on my TikTok profile. If you click on the grade 10, that's where I explain how to draw the parabola and how you get your axis of symmetry and also your turning point by using your axis of symmetry. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to use my axis of symmetry. So let me just, and then substitute that point into my original equation so that I can get the y value or the turning point. Okay. So the axis of symmetry, that formula is x equal to minus b over 2a. Let me just see if you can see this. Yes, it's perfect. So my b is going to be, in this case, it's -2, so it's negative 2 over 2. My a value is 1. So that means my x value is equal to 1. Now all that I have to do is take this one and substitute it into my original equation. So 1 everywhere my original equation was given. It was given as x squared minus 2x minus 3. So I'm going to substitute that axis of symmetry value in here. So that's going to be 1 squared minus 2, 1 minus 3. And that's going to give us a value of -4. So -4. So that point there is going to be 1 and -4. But we are not looking for the turning point. We are looking for the range. So if this point is 1, the turning point is 1 and -4, that means the range of this graph is going to be, that means it's going to be all the y values greater than equal to -4. Or you can just say for all the y is an element from all the values between -4 and positive infinity. Okay, so you can write it in this way or this way. If you have any questions with this question, please let me know. I will explain it again. But this is our last few questions that we're doing for the last stretch. And make sure that you share this live and that you double tap the screen, because just in case there's more questions. So let me see. Okay, there's nothing. I'm going to give you a few seconds so that so you can see what I did here. I think we're going to do 1 or 2 more questions. Okay, so let's get to the next one. Six 6.4. Let's do this. Let's see, 6.4. Okay, question 6.4. They ask us I forgot to charge my phone. Battery is at 2%, guys. Whoa, it's 1. Lord have mercy. Guys, hopefully my phone won't shut down. Oh my lord. Okay, we're busy with, we have the range. The next question was, say, 6.4. If Mn is equal to 6, determine the length of OT if T lies on the negative x-axis. Show your working. I think this is going to be our last question. Guys, hopefully, I think this is going to be our last question, but I think we might have a problem. My cell phone, because I charged my phone, but well, I thought I charged it. Let's see. If you have the answer, you can just double tap the screen. If not, you can just give a thumbs down, or if you have it, you can just give a thumbs up. Okay, so the screen is okay. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so this question, they say if Mn is equal to 6, determine the length of OT. So they're telling us here that this length is 6, from there till there is 6. And they're also telling us that determine the length of OT. They want this here, okay, the length of that one. And T is on the negative x-axis, so there's it, as you can see. Okay, so we need to show all our working, and this one is worth 4 marks. So let's get to it. Whatever they're trying to tell us here, let's write it down mathematically. The first thing they tell us that they're telling us that the distance from there to there is 6. Okay, so how do we calculate that distance mathematically? Mn. So it's the top one minus the bottom one. So it's this function minus this function. So do we have this function, the equation of this parabola? Yes, it is x squared minus 2x minus 3. So let me just shift my book down a little bit. See, okay, like that. Okay, so yeah, so it's going to be this one minus that one. That's how we're going to calculate the distance between that. But remember, you're also telling us that the distance is 6. So we're going to write down that mathematically. What is Mn? So the equation of the first of the parabola is x squared minus 2x minus 3. And we're subtracting the straight line from that. So it's going to be minus x plus 1, and they're telling us that is equal to 6. Okay, so if we simplify this, it's going to give us x squared. Let me just take away the bracket. So it's 2x minus 3 minus x plus minus 1, which is equal to 6. That's on its own, so there we go. So it's just x squared. That and that's like term, so that's negative 3x. And that's negative 4. If we take that to the left side, it's going to be negative 10, equal to 0. So let's start factorizing. So it's going to be 2 brackets equal to 0. And it's going to give us 1x and x minus 5 and minus 2. So that means 1x value is going to be 5. and the other x value, excuse me, this is plus, other x value is going to be equal to negative 2. But we are not looking for x values. They are asking what is the distance from the length from O till T. So now the OT can be equal to 5 units or 2 units. Right? But I mean, they already this telling us here that x is on the negative x-axis, so it's here. So one x value was 5 and the other one was 2, so 5 is not going to be one of your answers. So the OT, the length of OT is going to be is equal to 2 units, and this here is your final answer. Okay, so I have to go now. I see it's, like I said, it's going to be 1 hour, but I'm going to run through this question. But if you have any other questions, please let me know now in connection with this question here of OT, because that's the final thing that I'm going to discuss now here. And this session might be on YouTube. I just need to check if TikTok is going to upload it, and then I will upload it onto my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, I'm reading the comments. Let's see. So I have to go now. Okay, I have to go, guys. And if there's any other sections that you feel that we should discuss, or that, excuse me, exam papers, obviously these questions come from exam papers. This one is 2018, November. If there's any other sections, exam type of questions that you feel that we should work through, please drop a comment or just send me a DM, because some of this, somebody say probability. Okay, let's see if that's one of the most viral type of things that we can do. Like functions is a lot of marks, so I'm glad some of you all asked it. Somebody say Euclidean 2. I think last week we did Euclidean. Okay, so thank you for sharing. Kelebohlele joined. Okay, somebody say what else? I'm reading on my PC. Thank you for following. Yeah, so make sure that you sub to the YouTube channel, tap the notification bell, because when I upload it, then you know, okay, the paper is on, question paper is on my YouTube channel. Okay, so let's quickly run through this question again. This 6.4, they say if mn is equal to 6, so this distance is 6. They want us to determine the length of OT, and they're also telling us that t, and we can also see obviously that t is on the negative x-axis. So mathematically we can actually write this down here, mn equal to 6, the distance from here till there. We're going to subtract this one from that one, so it's going to be the difference between this equation and that one. So that's what I did there. I said okay, so it's this equation of the parabola minus the straight line, and it told us it's equal to 6, because I said the distance from m till n is 6. The second thing is I just simplify that a little bit and add up like terms. I see, okay, I have this, and then I factorize it. And then I got x values, and then so now these x values means obviously that the x value is, one x value is positive and the other one is negative. So they say it can be negative 2 or 5, but remember that they already told us that it's on the negative x-axis, so it can't be 5, so it's supposed to be 2. okay, -2. So that's why my OT, the length of OT is going to be 2 units. Somebody asked what maths doesn't change. Never. Yeah, it does change. It depends on what information we have. Stuff change on a daily basis. Somebody asked what grade. This is grade 12 Kelsey. So we're just going to do for the next 2 weeks, we're going to do grade 12. After that, because the grade 12s are writing in the next few weeks. But if you have any other questions, please, you're more than welcome to ask. Platform is open. I do have YouTube channel. I do have Instagram where you can drop me a DM. I always check this stuff on a daily basis, especially now because it is close to final exams. But thank you very much, guys. I have to go now. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye. Strongs to everybody that's studying and preparing themselves for the final paper. I also did the same question when I was doing grade 12. Yes, 2018. This is 2018 paper. So I see we've got probability. Somebody asked for probability and somebody asked for Euclidean geometry. On my YouTube channel, I uploaded last week's. I can't remember. I think it's trigonometry or Euclidean geometry. I'm not sure, but you can go check there. All the lives that TikTok upload is on my YouTube channel.